All right. Hey guys, welcome to today's session. Um, Before we get started, just one thing to let you guys know about. So next Thursday is our CE class, and put on by Allegiance Title, and I'll send all the information out as we get closer. But I'm actually going to be out of town part of that time, so I'm going to send out a Zoom link that will not be the one that you're used to clicking on. So it'll be one that Allegiance Title has created. So if you want to attend that um, session, just keep in mind that it'll be the link that's included in the email that I send out. So, all right. Well, so today I wanted to do a session called Eight Ways to Engage and Stay Engaged. And so why would I do this? Well, um, I can't tell you how many realtors, especially new realtors, when they first get into the business, are surprised and slightly terrified on various levels that they have to actually talk to people and be salespeople and ask questions about what their needs are and things like that, which actually is a very valid kind of realization. And at first, I think to myself, well, I mean, did you not know that before you got into the business? But then I thought, well, there's probably something to that. Because I think that when you think when most people that aren't realtors think about realtors, the stereotype is typically someone that's very aggressive and doesn't take no for an answer and is very assertive. And the reason why I myself got into this business is because when I moved to Texas and bought a home, I had a realtor who was the opposite of that, and thought to myself, this is a good fit. This guy is just giving me my space. He is letting me, make my own decisions. He's not overly pushy. And so I thought, okay, well, like kind of what I always do, I try and figure out ways to just make this process easier for you. And so today we're going to talk about kind of what I would call the boomerang effect, right? So how do we get people to come to us? And so I would challenge you today to notice uh, on each of these items how this is a very low pressure, low in your face, and just kind of wait for them to come to you approach. Okay. So um, this is a quote by one of the fastest gentlemen in the world. I trained 4 years to run only 9 seconds. There are people who do not see the results in 2 months, give up and leave. And so sometimes failure is sought by oneself. In other words, it is a self-fulfilling prophecy. And so there are a million and one ways to get business in real estate. You just can't give up. Okay, so today we're going to talk about ways that we can get people to come to us. So remember, 67% of all clients hire realtors because of a referral from someone else, or they are a past client. So think about how you feel, for those of you that have been in this situation, when you do get a referral from somebody. I mean, it is the easiest transition that you would ever encounter, right? Or think about when another one of our agents gives you a referral because they don't live in the same city. I mean, I'm sure you're thinking to yourself, "Are you kidding me? I don't have. They're expecting my call. I don't have to, worry about small talk." And so, just rest assured that almost 70% of transactions are derived this way. And so, people only move every 10 to 12 years. That is the reality. And so, real estate is a contact sport. So, we absolutely cannot think that we can't ever talk to people. It's a very high engagement profession. But again, we're going to talk about today some subtler ways to get people to call you. So why don't we just jump into this, right? I mean, so the issue is that realtors want business. we want closings, and man, we want to get paid, right? And so that is, aside from what I hear a lot, which is I want to help people fulfill the American dream. I get all that, but at the end of the day, we went to the trouble of getting the license and passing the test. It better be paying us something, right? And so we want business, we want closings, we want to get paid. But something sometimes prevents us from engaging people to find out if they even have a need, right? Especially, I mean, even if it's people that we do know, I think that we struggle with this. And so we are afraid to make that initial connection. And so we are resistant to relationships, right? And so if you are afraid to connect with people, you are by default resistant to relationships, which are the very thing that is going to get us business closings and a paycheck. So, what do we typically fear when we kind of start down this road? Because it's all about fear, right? So, I think a lot of us fear rejection. They think that we think that we're bothering people. We just feel overwhelmed in general by how to position ourselves and say what we need to say without looking like an idiot. So that can be very overwhelming and very paralyzing. And I think we don't realize just how much work it is. Now, I would say that once you kind of get the rhythm of how you approach people and what you say, it becomes a lot easier. But I think at first we are overwhelmed by how much work it actually is. All right. We might be uncomfortable with our own approach. What do I say? How do I say it? How do I read this person? What are they going to tell me? And I can tell you this, that most people will not want to hurt your feelings. So they're not going to come at you with guns ablazing. But at the end of the day, if you don't connect or if they don't have a need, they just won't work with you. Right. And that's the reality of these interactions. But you got to get up to bat first. Right. And so we would much rather have them come to us, wouldn't we? I mean, wouldn't the world be great if clients just reached out to us first and we didn't have to do any prospecting whatsoever? And so this is what I think that some realtors think that the business is, right? I always joke with, typically people in my interview, whenever they ask me, do you provide leads? And I have to begin to explain to them, well, no, because real estate just doesn't work that way. I mean, 70% of people are hiring us because of a referral or a past client or so on. And I think that, I tell them it's not like you're buying a McDonald's franchise where you can open up the door on day one and you have this. You have a line of people. And so the problem I have with this analogy is that if you want it to be like this, then that would suggest that it's transactional and not relational to you, right? And so I think that in order to get repeat and referral business, it's got to be less transactional and more relational. However, there is no doubt about it that without demand, in other words, people that want our services, we're not going to be successful. And so how do we replicate some form of what you're seeing on the screen? And so this is what I think we can have. So when you think about a fisherman, it's pretty solitude, right? Does that sound at all familiar? I mean, they're out there on their own pretty much, in the middle of nowhere. It's quiet. But if they bait their hook with the right enticement, and then more importantly, they drop their line where the fish are, the fish come to them, right? And so if we think about that in our own business, how do we make that happen? Well, first up is note cards. So I know I talk a lot about note cards, but there's a reason for it. And so in the spirit of not getting overwhelmed with, doing this, just start with one. I mean, in DFW, they had a seminar from a guy called Mr. Thank You a couple of weeks ago. And this is a guy that has made his living off of initially sending out thank you cards and he tasked himself with 5 a day. And I know that I say that too, but if you can't do 5 a day, can you do one? And so the benefits of that were just enormous, right? So start with one and be purposeful versus random, meaning don't just send out a note card just for the sake of checking it off your list. It's got to connect with someone, right? And so seek to identify why you might thank someone, compliment someone, or be there for someone. And so that is kind of the undercurrent of my previous point of be purposeful. And so maybe you start out the note by saying, I was thinking about you today, and this works great for people that you haven't talked to in months or years, right? Because this is a true statement. I was thinking about you today and ... whatever triggered that memory for you. So you might start out a note card with that. All right. And if you're struggling with what to say or the purpose of these things, focus on the recipient's character qualities. So are they overly loving, caring, generous? Are they patient? Are they a problem solver? Are they giving in nature? These are the things that you want to identify. And I'm telling you, a note card packed with something like that is going to be very, very impactful. And so maybe you focus on their behavior. What have they done? What have they said? How have they helped you or others? And so here's what I'm going to task you to do. If you struggle with who to send these to, and believe me, I've gone over this a million times. So, they are people like past clients, prospects, people that you meet in an open house, dentists, your barista, dry cleaner, vendor, neighbors, whatever. But if you just moved here and you knew nobody, start your day with pad and pen and write down everyone you met or spoke with. And at the end of the day, there's your list, right? And so if you ever want thank you note ideas in terms of what to write, we have that. And I've put a link to it right here. Let's see how quickly it pops up. No, let's not do that. It's on our website, though. It's under business building. And there are actually things that I've written out that you can actually say. Okay, so they're under the business building tab on our website. But so again, let's just pause. Can you see why this might generate people coming to you? So a couple of stories in my own life. When I went to that seminar last week, the week before, I mean, over the years, I've actually done a pretty good job at sending out note cards, but hearing him kind of revived the need to be more aware. And, I talk to a lot of people all day long. And, I tend to just kind of, once I'm done with the conversation, let it go. But what I've been doing lately is trying to be more observant in picking out the one or two things that were from that conversation that might necessitate a note card. All right. And, just an example, I mean, I do a lot of coaching sessions and agents come to me at varying levels of motivation and encouragement or discouragement. And, I send out a lot of those to those folks because I think there's a need. And so I sent one out last week and the realtor received it and she texted me a picture of it and said, I'm just so grateful. I feel a lot more encouraged. Our in-house lender, Rob, when about 6 months into our relationship last year or 2 years ago, whenever it was, I sent him a note card and said, I just am so appreciative of the relationship and you giving us a chance to be a branch for y'all. And he either emailed me or texted me and said, in all my years of doing this, no one has ever sent me a note card. And the Mr. Thank You gentleman, his name is John Israel. he had a similar encounter with his wife, and he picked up a cup of coffee for his wife and wrote a little note card to her, and she's posting it all over social media. And I can't tell you how many times that's happened to me over the years after I've sent out a note card. And so uh, don't underestimate the traction that you would get on social media or just word of mouth or whatever with these things. And so I think this creates a good boomerang effect of people reaching out to you. Obviously, put in your business card. If people are only moving 10 to 12 years, the chances of you hitting them at the right place, the right time, that's what you have to kind of get closer to. So I think note cards are a very good way to do that. The next is wear your name badge. If you can believe this, in all the years that I've been doing this, I just ordered a White Rock Realty name badge. I am ashamed to admit that, but the issue is that I have been going to just some more meetings with the board and just in public more, and it became very noticeable to me that I didn't have one. And so now I'm going to wear it, and for obvious reasons. But you as realtors, I mean, believe me, people will approach you, and that's because before you came into their line of vision, they didn't know that you were a realtor. And if you have a name badge, it is kind of this unwritten message that it's okay to approach you and talk to you about real estate. And so, but you need to go one step further. So if you're wearing this thing around town, you need to purposely smile, say hello, and be purposeful in your approach with people. Pin your name tag on your right side. And for you right-handed folks, that's going to seem awkward because it's just easier to pin it on your left side. But think about when you're meeting someone, um, it's a mirror image, right? So if you pin it on your right side, that's where they're going to lean in to shake your hand, and their line of vision is going to be on the right side of your body, not the left side. So I know that's kind of awkward, but get into the habit of pinning your name tag on the right side of your body so it makes it easier to engage. Okay. Um, but, people will think that you're out doing real estate stuff, and maybe you are, maybe you aren't. But you want people to notice that you're wearing that name tag. Okay, so whether it's kids' sports practices, the store, hair appointment, dentist. I mean, hair appointment and dentist, man, I mean, that's a captive audience. I mean, how can the dental hygienist or dentist or hairdresser not look at your name tag several times, right? So that's a good one. And have your business cards ready because people will engage in conversation. Okay, so so this is the opposite of being in their face. You didn't ask them to talk to you, right? But you're advertising on your lapel that I want to talk to you. I just don't want to make the first move, right? So this will get engagement. So I tell the story a lot where I did this several years back, and I was in a store and someone approached me, and it led to a listing appointment. And I didn't get the listing. I'm sad to say, but it sparked a very interesting and rich conversation. I was definitely in the top two, but had I done that more, you can kind of see where that would lead to um, definite conversation. Okay, so I know that this stuff works. All right, and then don't be afraid to ask for their contact information. Add those people to your database. All right, so it's easy to see where this one is low pressure. Let them come to you. So the next one is what I call preemptive connecting. Now this is kind of a hybrid of reaching out and waiting for them to come to you. So in my mind, I think of preemptive connecting when someone is on social media and wants a recommendation for someone to put up a fence or fix some drywall. right? And so those are instances, and it could be in person too. You could be just overhearing someone's conversation and make that move. Um, and my next point is go to businesses, restaurants, retail, any experiential thing, and um, and do it that way. So I mean, anyone on social media that wants the name of a fence repair person, you're going to be the one to provide it. In my example, okay. So builders are another great way to do this. Market. You can market for them. You can hold a spec home open. That is a little bit more of a sales approach, but basically, how would you approach a builder? You could say, look, I'm here because I have no idea how I can help you, but I am a local realtor and very well connected. So tell me a little bit about your business, your spec homes, etc. So whether it's a builder or a business, I mean, and that's an honest approach. You don't have any idea how you can help them, but um, but you're trying to find out, right? And so any local business, restaurant, retail, it's somebody's dream, right? And so it's going to be a small business owner. They're going to want to talk to you, and this is just a very low pressure approach on how to start that conversation. All right, and then enter their names into your database. So let's talk about your database. So over time, so let's say that this is your first day on the job and you just moved here. You don't know anybody. And so over time, as you add people to your database, the database itself will increase in value. Okay. And so my suggestions would be to email market. All right. So if you do that, you can wait for people to come to you. And notice email is the method, but market is what you're doing. And any kind of marketing is the sole purpose is to stay top of mind, right? So maybe you start in January and wish them a happy new year, happy Easter, happy St. Patrick's Day, whatever. Maybe by the time Halloween hits, they'll have a need. But it's a very low pressure, I'm not going to get in your face approach to receiving leads back. Okay, and then user follow-up plan, right? So that is on our business building tab on our website as well. Right, and then if you want to fast track your relationship with people in your database, think real hard and identify something unique to them and search for articles or something you could send. So through a series of connections, I had a coffee appointment with someone that was in charge. Well, her role is business development for a nonprofit charity, and she has a great personality. Talked a good bit, right? Just a good interaction. But through that conversation, and it was last week, but through that conversation, she told me that she liked to fish. And she told me all these stories about, how she liked to fish, and her husband's from Arkansas. And I said, oh yeah, we've been to Arkansas several times. And, on the newscast, they'll talk about what fish are biting in what lakes. And I thought that was really funny. And so we kind of connected in that way. Well, I should have done it then, but yesterday I thought about that conversation and I went to a local sporting goods store and picked up a fishing magazine along with a pack of hooks and some bait for the fish that are specific to Arkansas. Now, she lives here in Dallas, but her husband is from Arkansas. They go back every now and then. And I just thought it would be a nice thing to send her and is a great example of otherwise that conversation could have just stopped at what can I do for you and what can you do for me? Because that is the tenor of a lot of our interactions, right? But as luck would have it, through the relationship building process, I was able to get that there was something more to her than what we were there to talk about. And so I seized on that opportunity to send her something that was unique to her. And everybody has that. All right. Nobody just goes to work, comes home, eats dinner, and goes to bed. There is more to people's lives. So what is that for each of the people in your database? And so my next suggestion is to cleanse your database. And so if you only have first name, last name, they're worthless to you. I don't know how you're going to be able to do anything with anybody unless you get at least their birthday, their familial status. So are they married? Do they have kids? What? Complete contact information, at least one interest. So what unique thing do you know about them? What's important in their lives? What is their spouse and kids' name? Do they have pets? And if you don't know, ask, right? So that's why over time, this database will become gold for you. So if you only have first name, last name, email address, that's a great start, but it's only going to take you so far, right? To truly get people to come back to you, you can't just send a happy St. Patrick's Day email and think that that's going to do it. You've got to connect on some personal level. Okay. The next is be observant. So listen wherever you are for cues from people who may need a realtor. Now, this is going to take some work, mostly because you're going to need to put down your phone and just observe what people are doing and saying around you. Okay. And if the conversation leads this way, here's something you could ask. Are you happy with where you live? Because 50% of people will say, no, I'm not, actually. House is too small, it needs too many repairs, whatever. Or I'm sick of renting. You will get some response that half the time will then lead you down a path of this is how I can help you. All right. And so maybe you say, are you happy with where you live? I'm a realtor, so I got to ask. It's getting to be that time of year, and a lot of people are thinking about moving. And so, it's a very unobtrusive way to get that information, right? And so now your chances increase of connecting with people in this way if you're physically in a location that promotes this kind of discussion. So what do I mean by that? If your niche is first-time home buyers, so where do they hang out? So think of age group. Is it the gym? Is it some gourmet coffee shop, gourmet grocery store? If it's seniors, is it a senior center? Whatever. So your chances of being able to be observant and listen for cues from people greatly increase if you're physically in that location, right? So it's not going to, it's not good enough just to be in line at Starbucks or a grocery store and think that this is just going to take off for you, because it's not. You've got to go to the next level, right? So a story here is that last week my wife and I were at a local Tex-Mex restaurant, and we're sitting there for a little bit, and this large party comes in and sits down at these, 3 tables put together. It's probably 12 people, right? And we had kind of sort of just gotten there, and I didn't think anything of it, but they were like 2 feet from us, and they all sit down and kind of get situated, and they weren't seated more than probably 15 seconds before employee after employee came up to each of them and welcomed them like they knew these people. And it was like over the top. I mean, line cooks and servers, management, whoever. And I'm like, who are these people? I've never seen anything like this. And so when our food was served, I told my wife, I said, I'm going to ask. And so I asked the server, who are these people? Like, how do they know everybody? And it turns out that it was the manager of the restaurant's family. And now it's still a little strange to me because, like, how do they know everybody that well? I mean, the outpouring of like affection to these people were just, it was crazy. And so I left and I said to my wife, I said, we live here and we go to this restaurant quite a bit. This is, he told me, well, like I said, he told me it was the manager. And I saw the manager out there and I said, this guy is someone we need to know on some level, right? And not in the spirit of, giving me free food. That's not what I'm looking at. But he just seemed well connected and that could lead somewhere, right? Not because I'm going there anyway. I love the food. So I got on their website and it didn't take me long to find out who he was. Full first name, last name, Alex Mora. And below Alex's name was his picture and a bio. And the bio said, grew up in Monterrey, Mexico, started out as a busboy. Now he's the general manager of XYZ restaurant and has been here, in this family for 8 years. Outside of being a Raiders fan, that's currently Las Vegas Raiders, formerly Oakland Raiders. He likes whatever it was. So that was my cue. So I got on Amazon and I ordered for $10 some Las Vegas Raiders magnet. And I put it in this, when it came, I put it in this envelope with a thank you card that said, Alex, I just want to thank you for always providing a consistent level of service and food quality. We were in on X date and we're seated next to your family. It was just so nice to see the connection between them and the staff. I said, I heard you, someone told me you were a Raiders fan. And so I hope you enjoy, what I've included here. And I dropped it off. And so, who knows? I put my card in there. And so it was just about being observant. I could have easily left and thought nothing of it. And even when I found out it was the manager, but you never know what is going to happen from that interaction. So take that for whatever it's worth. So the next one is leverage who you know. All right. So when you think about going to certain restaurants, there are sometimes bulletin boards up where people tack their business cards. So, and I'm not saying don't tack your business card up there, by all means do that. But the company that you're in other words, the other names and business cards on there might be people you might want to get to know. Why? Because they're out there hustling, trying to drum up business just like we should be, right? So talk about being in front of a bulletin board with 15 business cards. That's people coming to you, right? Those are people that you can reach out to and say, I don't know how I can help you. I'm a realtor in the area. I'm well connected and talk to a lot of people. Can we get together? Or can you help me understand how I might be able to help you? There they are for the taking, right? Local vendors, and I talk about this a lot. Local HVAC people, plumbers, electricians, who leverage who you know. Local businesses, right? Offer your lead magnets to get them to send people to you. So our lead magnets are on a separate tab on our website called lead magnets. And they are things like buyer's guide, seller's guide, lender, collateral, things like that. All right. So these are things that are useful to clientele. So, and you can drop these off, or better yet, get their contact information and send electronically, put them in your database, right? But these are people, kind of like my example earlier with the gentleman at the restaurant. These could be people that open doors for you, right? So a lead magnet, just before I kind of go to the next slide, is something that you would give someone in exchange for their contact information. And so what could you possibly have that they would want? So again, seller's guide, buyer's guide, anything on Back Agent, any of those articles, 5 tips for a better sale, anything, comps, use your imagination. And so these would be things that only we have access to as realtors, and they're valuable to people. All right, the next is visit a new restaurant or a new destination in your town. Right, so whenever a new business opens up, believe me, they are all struggling for momentum and they are all dying to tell their story. All you got to do is ask them, right? So, how would you do this? Well, you could offer to do a review of their business and post on social media. And who knows, they may reciprocate. Doesn't matter. They're going to remember you, right? Take a picture of you and the owner and post it on social media. I can guarantee they have a social media page that you can tag them in. Okay, so then that exposes you to even more people, right? You might think about partnering with them to do a coupon, right? Can you create a coupon for them that's 5-10% off, whatever, and put your contact information on there, right? But here's how you might approach them. I just say, again, look, I'm not sure how I can help you, but I'm a local realtor and I talk to a lot of people. Tell me about your business. Believe me, they will give you an earful. Hey, are you from here? How can we partner and how can I help you? Are you from here? I mean, unless it's a pizza and burger joint, they're not going to be from here. No one's from here anyway, right? And so that is how you get them engaged in them telling you their story. Well, no, I'm not. I'm actually not from Austin. I'm actually from Michigan. Oh, Michigan! I heard it's beautiful. Tell me why'd you leave there? What do you like about that? Or if they're from another country, I mean that's a whole other lengthy conversation. How long have you lived here? Do you is English your second language? And so then you get this story of struggle and survival and accomplishment that is worth telling people. And so they are dying for advocates and people that can further their business along. And there's just a million and one ways to do this, but you just got to show up, right? And so one a week, one every 2 weeks, whatever you think is appropriate. But man, don't just go there and not engage the ownership. All right. And so you might think about going on the tail end of lunch or the tail end of dinner or whatever, so that they can't talk to you. But this is just such a great way to accelerate a connection because they talk to a lot of people. And what if they enter into a conversation with someone that says, I'm looking to sell my home or I want to go buy a home? Who do you think they're going to recommend? Okay. All right. So I'm going to end with open houses. But I'm going to say an open house with a lead magnet. So this is the greatest example or the gold standard of getting people to come to you, even if you are the shyest of the shy, right? Even if you don't want to talk to anybody, if all you do is open the door and let people in, that's okay. People will talk to you because you're there, right? And they see you as an authority figure when you're holding that home open. I mean, it doesn't get any easier than an open house. All right. So this is the tough love segment. If you've done an open house and you don't get any traction, you don't get anybody to show up, something might be wrong with your process. Okay. Now, mind you, if you're holding a house open in January and or maybe February, that might be a demand issue because not a lot of people are looking. But any other of the 10 months out of the year, if you're not getting people to show up, there's something flawed in the process, some of which may be your fault, some of which may not be your fault. But don't go more than one open house of no one showing up before you talk to me because I can help you get more people. All right, there is a method, but it does not get any easier than hosting an open house and just waiting for people to come in. Right. And so choose one or more of our lead magnets and ask everybody if they want one. Even those who say they have a realtor. Why is that? Because some legitimately will, but who cares? Some will tell them that they have a realtor, but they don't. And some just won't engage with you. Right? Doesn't matter. Now, in my opinion, I would print one copy. of it, whatever you're going to hand out, a buyer's guide, comps, whatever, and say, look, I only have one copy of this. I want to get this to you. Could I get your first name, last name, email address, phone number? And don't worry about the phone number. I'm not going to call you or text you unless I can't read the email address. Okay, that is a very low pressure approach to giving them what they asked for anyway, but getting their contact information. Okay, so if you just hold the home open and you wait for people to come in, that's great. If you want to get over your, you know, introversion and aversion to talking to people, but eventually you're going to have to use a lead magnet to get those names. Okay. So set yourself up for success and do an open house correctly. I mean, you don't want to do all these lead magnet stuff and not have people show up. Right. So again, don't go more than one of people not showing up before you reach out to me for help. Okay. So that's kind of it. Hopefully you can kind of see where these are really actually very good, tried and true, some creative, some not, methods of getting people to come to you, right? So you've got the rod and reel, you've got the bait, you just need to drop your line in a lake that has a bunch of fish. And I guarantee people will come to you. People will come to you. Okay. So anybody have any feedback, comments, experiences they might want to share?
How about try to become a shell answer man for your clients? In other words, they come to you for everything, even non-real estate related stuff.
Absolutely, the keeper and giver of all information. So I think what I hear you saying, Jeff, is just be the trusted resource for everything.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that's always worked for me in construction, and it's worked in real estate. People want to hear your story. I always say if you can leave them with a sticky memory about you, they'll never forget you. And that's usually a humorous anecdote or something that you know tell about yourself. Make yourself a little bit vulnerable to them. That seems to work really well.
Exactly. Yeah. Valerie, did you have something?
Yeah, I have a couple things. I had actually reached out to you, and on Etsy, I name tags, women, we don't like to put holes in our clothes. And I ran into somebody who had a name tag with a magnet on it so that the magnet holds it through your clothes. You don't have to put a pinhole in your clothes. And I ordered it through Etsy. I'm actually waiting for it to come. But the one I saw was great. So, and it was pretty inexpensive, less than $10. So, for those ladies who don't want to put pins in their holes in their clothes, you can get the magnet kind of name tag. And the other suggestion I have about open houses, I actually love open houses. And is I bring kids, if it's a family home where I'm going to get kids, I bring those little Mott's small packages. You get a whole box of them at Costco, and they're not too messy if the kids eat them. And I hand them out to the kids, and the kids then hang around, and the parents, even if I let them take them out, with them. So something to just get them to hang around and chat. So
that's a good idea to get them to kind of linger. So for everyone's knowledge, how long have you been in real estate?
Over 40 years.
So over 40 years, and she still likes and puts merit in open houses. All right, so there must be something there. But that's a good idea for people to kind of hang around and linger. That's a good one.
So if you've got houses in the Fort Worth area, send in a text or an email to my daughter and I, and we'll see if we can help you out.
Awesome. Awesome. Anybody else? All right. Well, then we will conclude there. And again, next week is the CE class by Allegiance title. I want to say it's on trusts and wills. Don't quote me, but it's not going to be the usual Zoom link. I'll send a separate one out. So just make sure you're clicking on the right one. But anyway, you guys have a good rest of the week, and we'll see you next time. Y'all take care.